Ayanna. I hear the people up in the east, make up their mind to give GDC to the one. Ayanna. Roy. They block the man from the PSA. They go forward, going away. Ayanna. Roy. Ayanna. Roy.
A pleasant good evening to the people of Mount Grace and environs. This is the voice of the People's National Movement. We are about to start this evening's proceedings, and as in true PNM style, we invite the presence of God. To do the honors this evening here at Mount Grace, welcome to the microphone, Sister Marva Grant Jack. Sister Jack.
Good night, my people. As we are about to reverence God, permit me 1 second, please. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Almighty God and our Father. Father God, we come in your presence this afternoon. First, we must say thank you for spare life. Thank you for health and strength. Thank you, dear Lord, that we can come in a time like this. Father God, we invite you to come in and take control. Lord, and as we are about to start this meeting, I bring the candidate Ayanna Roy, Webster-Roy before you, Lord. Father God, I ask you to anoint her, dear Jesus, from the crown of her head to the sole of her feet. Her sister, candidate Shamfa Kajo also, Lord. Father God, you chose these two women for a purpose. And Father God, I know that you will make the purpose come true. Lord, I pray for our leader, Mr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And I ask you to fence around them, dear Jesus. Father, cover them from the slandering tongues of the oppositions, Lord. Father God, you know the heart of each and every one of us. And Lord God, I bring this land, Trinidad and Tobago, before you. Lord, and as you send Joseph there in Egypt land to feed his family, he did not know the reason and the purpose. We don't know the reason and the purpose, Lord, but you know. And Father God, I know with your grace, this PNM will rise. This PNM will be the one to bring this country out of the drought it is. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much, Sister Grant. A pleasant good evening to all. And in keeping with Sister Grant's prayer, our mission this evening is to present our next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Even though he is not here, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, and our two candidates for Tobago East and Tobago West, Mrs. Roy and Shamfa Kojo. And our mission is to stop the wickedness of the wicked. And you know of whom I speak. Our first speaker, let me recognize on the head table the Honorable Orville London. Put it up for Mr. London. On his extreme left, Claudia Groome-Duke. On his extreme right, Assistant Secretary, Mr. Cunningham. And I recognize in the audience on the floor our Secretary for Community Development and Culture, Denise Soyafat Angus, Mrs. Denise Soyafat Angus, and any other representative who might be out there in the crowd. The lady of the evening, or I should say one of the ladies of the evening, next to the Chief Secretary, is our candidate for Tobago East, Mrs. Ayanna Webster-Roy. We are hoping to have the other candidate join us shortly, but as I imagine you would know, we have 2 meetings every night, so she might be rounding up the first. This is the last of this evening's meetings. I want you to put your hands together and welcome to the microphone the Honorable Claudia Groome-Duke, Secretary for Health and Social Services in the Tobago House of Assembly. Let's hear it for our first speaker.
Oh, PNM coming. Oh, PNM coming. Oh, PNM coming.
PNM family, good evening. Join me as I recognize the political leader of the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, our Chief Secretary, the Honorable Orville London, who is also the Deputy Leader of the National People's National Movement. Join me as I acknowledge my colleague and co-representative of Mount Grace, the Assemblyman Sheldon Cunningham. Give him a round of applause. And you know, this community is really, this community is very lucky to have 3 representatives in this particular area. The Honorable Chief Secretary, Orville Delano, London, the Assemblyman Sheldon Cunningham, and of course yours truly. Let us now join together to acknowledge and recognize the candidate for Tobago East and our next representative for Tobago East, Ayanna Webster-Roy. Give her a round of applause. And of course, we acknowledge the candidate for Tobago West, Shamfa Ashaki Kojo, who will be the next representative for Tobago West. Give them a round of applause. Let me also acknowledge the secretaries out there who are part of this congregation, this group of people coming to be with the People's National Movement this evening. It gives me great pleasure to share in this endorsement of our candidates for Tobago West and Tobago East in the general election. PNM family, Mount Grace and environs, on the 7th of September 2015 is National Election Day, a day when we will elect a Prime Minister and representatives for our 41 constituencies. Red Army, this is not a local government election, nor is it a Tobago House of Assembly election. It is a time when we will elect our 2 candidates, one from the Tobago East and our next representative, Ayanna Webster-Roy, and one from Tobago West and our next representative, Shamfa Ashaki Kojo. PNM family and friends, over the last 5 years, the People's National Movement engaged the public in consultation and dialogue, both in Trinidad and in Tobago, to discuss and plan in developing the necessary policies and programs to rebuild our country and our economy, restore confidence, equity, and social justice, and enhance and improve every area of national life for the people in Trinidad and in Tobago. Red Army, Dr. Keith Rowley guided this team to spend countless hours through difficult times in the formulation of policy and in the review and examination of proposals from a myriad of experts and professionals, creating an impressive manifesto, including the Tobago document prepared by the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, a document with Tobago's realities of the relationship between central government and the people of Tobago. My friends, according to Helen Keller, character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. It is in this regard that Dr. Keith Rowley demonstrates his character, conviction, and vision as he led the People's National Movement through desperate times, rough waters, and atrocities. Brothers and sisters, if Dr. Rowley leads the PNM so successfully in times of turbulence, he can lead us out of this current government. Red Army, the time has come to stamp out blatant corruption, rampant nepotism, and gross mismanagement. Join the People's National Movement as we continue the journey to restore good governance, integrity, and morality in public affairs. The People's National Movement envisions a society where integrity and morality in public life is of the highest priority, and the government serves the public good above all else, and where decisions are made and actions taken by the government in the best interest of all concerned. My dear friends, if ever a time that a country needs a serious leader with fortitude, integrity, and character, it is a time when we need Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And now, brothers and sisters, let me turn to good representation. The saying goes that when we did not see the Lord's footprints, it was because he was carrying us. Remember that story? Shamfa Ashaki Kojo has been carrying Tobago's challenges through the parliament, representing our views and aspirations and advocating, negotiating, and lobbying on our behalf. Brothers and sisters, there has been a disconnect between the government and the assembly, and by extension, the people of Tobago, as we strive for self-determination and self-governance. PNM family, you will recall in 2010, when the Prime Minister refused to meet with the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, despite several requests. It was Shamfa Ashaki Kojo who took the Prime Minister to task, challenging her to do the right thing. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. And while our current representatives who were sent by the Tobago people
to further our development, they joined with the Prime Minister and their colleagues to call our Chief Secretary crybaby. What absolute disrespect. Brothers and sisters, that is the courage that was demonstrated by Shamfa very early in her sojourn as she faced the lack of respect for the integrity and authority of the Tobago House of Assembly by UNC-led government. PNM family, when it comes to representation, Shamfa and Ayanna will do what is right for Tobagonians. Shamfa and Ayanna will protect, they will serve, and be true to the wider public interest and not serve themselves. Our mission is to serve each and every citizen, treating each one fairly, no matter their location or party affiliation. We are the people's champion. Brothers and sisters, after Shampa's contribution on the appropriation bill in Parliament in 2010, Vanilla confronted Shampa, stating that while she did not want to be the vindictive, her contribution was in fact verbose, vapid, vacuous, vitriolic, vile, vain, venomous, vexing, and so on. What does that say for a teacher we groomed and nurtured here in Tobago? Did we vote for this type of representation? Did we vote for this type of representation? At that budget debate, Vanilla boasted that they will deliver several projects, all in fiscal 2010. To date, we are still waiting on water for all, the Old Grange Police Station, the Corland and Roxborough Fire Station, and the prison, among others. Brothers and sisters, my PNM family and friends, this UNC-led PP government continue to break promise after promise after promise. The PP coalition led by the United National Congress spent 5 years in office with nothing to show the people of Tobago. Their incursions in the responsibility for the Tobago House of Assembly are well documented. Our Chief Secretary led that situation and spoke with the Prime Minister and put up the proposal. The cabinet met with the Tobago House of Assembly as we discussed that fact. And yet they failed to treat with that situation, and they failed to complete the mandate of the government to the people of Tobago. And yet the Vice President, you will recall when the Vice President Lindira Udit used her powers under the standing orders to shut up Shamfa Kojo. All Shamfa did was to raise the issue of airport security. Brothers and sisters, do we have a challenge with the airport and airport security? And that is what representation is all about. And so you must note that once a representative on the other side sets foot in Parliament, the one constant is for them to join with the UNC to undermine Tobago. That is what they have done for the last 5 years. You would recall the then Senator Crystalline Moore's maiden speech when she spent the 15 minutes of extra time to lash the Tobago House of Assembly on Milsherv project, and she bashed Shamfa Kojo on her remarks defending the bold arrangement for the Milsherv project. PNM family, Shamfa consistently spoke out for Tobago's needs, and the representative for Tobago East continued to condemn her, calling her the Bethel Bajan. You remember that? And with Vanilla claiming that giving money to the THA is like pouring money into a bottomless pit. Once these representatives were in a position to advocate on our behalf, they joined with the UNC to demolish us. But it was Shamfa's confidence, her integrity, and character that gave her the courage and the conviction to stay her ground in spite of adversity and represented the people of Tobago. Brothers and sisters, on the issue of zero allocation for CPEP, Alvin Toppin said Tobago had to win its people of CPEP. They have no intention for facilitating the CPEP program here in Tobago. Now the leader of Tobago Forwards is saying that the CPEP workers are no emergency. Can you believe that? Is this the kind of representation that you want to continue for the people of Tobago? Then it is Shamfa and Ayanna all the way. When the UNC refused to treat with the $102 million shortfall, it was Shamfa who confronted the Minister of Finance, who finally admitted that he took responsibility for not addressing the budgetary shortfall. So this evening, Red Army, I say to you that the current representatives colluded with the central government to undermine the Tobago House of Assembly. They tried to destroy and sabotage our social programs, including the CPEP program. As you know, we asked for something like $57 million for our over 600 workers, and they gave us $8 million in the allocation. Mark you, I didn't say they released $8 million. They placed $8 million in the allocation. The caregivers program for the aged, you would have heard me say time and time again that this program is significant for the people of Tobago, because you know we have over 8,000 senior citizens in Tobago. And the record shows that our people in Tobago, we are living longer than the rest of the region. And therefore it is very important that the Tobago House of Assembly cater for our senior citizens in Tobago. We asked them for $5 million to carry this program through, to facilitate over 100 caregivers to take care of our senior citizens, and they gave us $300,000. Now, if you work that out, and you work out how many months $300,000 can really facilitate our senior citizens. Our own Assemblyman Sheldon Cunningham, who is directly responsible for this program, he had to make representation within the Tobago House of Assembly so that we must take care of our senior citizens. The housing program, our roads development programs, these are some of the programs that they sabotage and will not give us the kind of funding we require to ensure that these programs are sustained. Brothers and sisters, let us send the most powerful signal that we will not accept this treatment. The people from Tobago and Trinidad must really try to appreciate the Tobago House of Assembly because of the kind of development programs that we undertake in spite of the limited resources and the sabotage by this central government. With our leader at the national level, with his grounding in Tobago's culture, he will understand how significant it is for the central government and the Tobago House of Assembly to collaborate and work together for democracy and good governance. We are here to support the awesome twosome, Shamfa Ashaki Kojo and Ayanna Webster-Roy, women with courage, strong faith in God and spirituality. Give them a next round of applause. We are here this evening to send a clear message that the People's National Movement stands tall and resolute. We will not lie down for them to walk all over us. We are standing tall, determined to win the battle of this election on the 7th September 2015. I want to say this evening that the energy we have will become a force to be reckoned with in defense of our island, Tobago, and our country, Trinidad and Tobago. This evening, I implore you to be ready and do what is required and vote for the People's National Movement, and let us do it together. They have been trying to brainwash us by telling us to give them another 5 years. I urge you not to do such a thing, not to give the Kamala Prasad administration another 5 years in office. They have spent the last 5 years making a mess of our country. We are now being bombarded with ads telling us Kamala has a plan. She always had a plan. She had a plan for Section 34. She had a plan to enrich people who take all the money from the treasury. She had a plan for live sport. And I have a list of her plans in my hands. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, our country has come to a crossroad. And now you have the power to change the political landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. This country requires serious leadership, serious thought, and serious effort. No other than Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley can deliver this leadership. PNM family, it depends on you showing up to vote to change the situation here in Tobago and give us the opportunity for effective representation in the House of Parliament. Red Army, election is won on election day. We have come too far to turn back now. We have got more work to do. This is our crusade. We are about reaching out beyond politics. Crusades are about beliefs. They are about the long term. They are about winning the arguments on issues to build a country fit for our children and grandchildren. A crusade to give them the best education possible. A crusade to protect the environment around them. A crusade to give them a health service they can rely on. A crusade to give them new opportunities and hope. And this election provides Trinidadians and Tobagonians with a real choice. Join us at the People's National Movement. We have won the arguments in this campaign. Now we must win the seats. Join us as we go for victory. Join us, and together we can make the difference. That is why I am asking you to vote for the People's National Movement. Vote for Shamfa Ashaki Kojo in the West and Ayanna Webster-Roy in the East, because we will beat them in the East and we will beat them in the West. We will win this election and we will finish what we started, but we have to do it with a landslide. We cannot just go out and vote. We have to bring our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our neighbors, make sure that they all come out to vote, because we want to win this election with a landslide. And so with God, all things are possible, because God is great and God is good. And we will remind the country why the People's National Movement is also great, because great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. and it shall prevail. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
You see me? I'm fed up of what's going on in this country. Yes? The people fed up. Kabla, right now we fed up.
We have serious issues facing TNT. But you in the parliament only talking about key public. Policemen protesting, fire service too. I'm not interested to see that the people.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen. After such an impressive opening, let me hear another round of applause for Claudia Groome-Duke. Remember, I said opening chat with you that we are on a mission to see the Honorable Christopher Rowley as the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and to see Miss Ayanna Webster-Roy and Shanta Kojo as the two representatives for Tobago East and Tobago West. And I think from all observations, we are well on our way. I also want you to look at the slate, the 41 individuals who are going up for the People's National Movement, and you will observe a number of young people on that slate. No other party has so many young people. It is a strategy of the PNM so that the young people would be ready to take the baton and run with it when the time comes down the road. I have in front of me the profile of our next speaker, but because we are on the airwaves, I cannot take up all the time to read the entire profile. So I just give you a little bit of her educational qualification. She graduated from the Roxborough Primary School, graduated from Bishop's High School, Tobago, graduated from the University of the West Indies with a BSc in Sociology, with Psychology and Human Resource Management, a graduate professional certificate in Events Management from Arthur Lockjock Graduate School of Business, currently employed with the Community Development Division, where she is serving you, the people of Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to the microphone our next MP for Tobago East, Mrs. Ayanna Webster-Roy.
PNM country, people in the East, who you voting for? We voting for Ayanna, we voting for Ayanna. People in the East, PNM people, who you voting for? We voting for Ayanna. Hey, a woman of courage, and she moving fast. Tobago East PNM candidate, she a fast. A visionary.
Good evening, Mount Grace, and how are you? Are you red and ready? Are you red and ready? Permit me to give recognition to our political leader, Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, Honorable Orville, our Chief Secretary. Permit me to give recognition to Assemblyman Sheldon Cunningham, Assistant Secretary in the Division of Health and Social Services. Also permit me to give recognition to Assemblyman Claudia Groome-Duke, Secretary in the Division of Health and Social Services, all members of the Executive of the People's National Movement, my sister in this campaign, and the next MP for Tobago West, Ms. Shanta Kojo,
All you lovely people of Mount Grace and environs, friends, supporters, welcome. I told the people of Bagatelle a few nights ago that my friend, the shutdown man, described me as a good girl gone bad. Mount Grace, I want you to know that I will wear my badge of badness with pride if my badness is associated with service and wanting to serve the people of my island and nation under a noble institution. I refuse to be a good girl, passively observing the passage of time. Our country is the way it is because too many good people refuse to serve. Too many good people look on politics with scorn. So, brothers and sisters, I will wear my bad girl badge with pride because I know my party, my leader, and my colleagues in the PNM have made a commitment to always put people first. We made a commitment to safeguard the heritage of this nation so future generations can also benefit. So with my badness badge, I will go about the business of service and representation with pride because I know that I'm coming to the people of Tobago as part of an honorable and formidable team that proudly carries the PNM badge. I want you to understand how crucial this election is. Tobago has a critical role to play. Brothers and sisters, as I said in Roxborough, Matthew chapter 7 verse 16 tells us, you shall know them by their fruits. We know the UNC fruit because we have been forced to consume the bitter fruits of this UNC government for 5 long years. Over the past 5 years, under the People's Partnership government, our country has had to endure some very difficult times. An unjustified state of emergency was imposed on the people of this country. 8,000 people arrested without evidence to lay any charge. Government ministers linked to assassination plots. Allegations of illegal substance abuse amongst high office holders. Downgrade of our economy. Poor ratings on the corruption perception index. For 5 long years, we endured their lies, their scandals, and their contempt for equity and justice. Brothers and sisters of Mount Grace, today I bring you a message of hope, a message of healing. They may have described us as babes, but together, Shanka Konjo and I will represent the whole island of Tobago, and we will make you proud. I give you my commitment. We will work for you and with you. We will respect the Tobago House of Assembly and work with the executive and not against it. We form part of a PNM team that has committed to delivering internal self-government to the people of Tobago. Shanka and I are part of a team that has agreed to give priority to the issue of land regularization. We are part of a team that will address the issue of crime by dealing with matters of national security with a matter of urgency. We are part of a team that is committed to the further diversification of the economy through the development of the creative industries. We are part of a team that will strategically deal with the issue of food security by making a necessary investment in the agricultural sector. Shanka and I are part of a team that is committed to supporting the Tobago House of Assembly's thrust towards an accelerated housing program. Today, I ask you to believe in this team and give this team your full support. Today, I ask you to remain focused and keep your eyes on the prize. Do not get distracted by a top spinning in mud. Do not get distracted by any pretense of independence. Do not get distracted by a confused arrow. My brothers and sisters, once they're coming to you under PNM banner,
And once the symbol is not the Balisé, as I've said on many occasions, they are coming to you as part of the United National Congress. My brothers and sisters, I want to give you my assurance that I have not been bought, so your votes and your voice cannot and will not be sold for 30 pieces of silver. I am no Judas pursuing my own personal agenda under the guise of island or national pride. I have offered myself for service under the PNM banner because I truly, truly believe the PNM is the best party to take our nation forward. I strongly believe that Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley is the right man at the right time to restore our nation. I truly believe the People's National Movement is the best party to restore confidence in good governance. I truly believe that the PNM party and the PNM government will rebuild our economy. Brothers and sisters, just as I believe, I want you to believe. This evening, I ask you to play a very critical role. There are many undecided out there. I want you to take this message of hope, take it out to every single community, convert the unconverted, make the undecided decide to vote, but most importantly, let them vote for the People's National Movement. As a young lady residing in Tobago East, I have a vision, but it's not my own vision. It's a vision that comprises all the dreams, the aspirations of the many men, women, children I met on my walkabout. And I want to give you my commitment that when I get into Parliament, I will not be a dumb dog in Jerusalem. Don't let my pretty smile fool you. Don't let my quiet nature fool you. Once something is worth fighting for, I fight hard. Once something is worth having, I go all out to get it. So I want to give you my commitment this evening that I am going to work to ensure our collective vision for Tobago East becomes a reality. I listen about the water woes. I listen about the transportation woes. I listen about the housing woes. And when I get down there, my duty, my role will be to advocate to ensure there is a meaningful change in Tobago East, meaningful development in Tobago East. At the end of my term, there must be a visible change in our communities. Not just change, but positive change. Change in the lives of the people who reside in Tobago East. Brothers and sisters of Mount Grace, I encourage you to come on board. I encourage you to buy into this vision. I encourage you to buy into the message of the People's National Movement. People will come in all forms and fashion, but they are not coming in your best interest. The People's National Movement, we have your interests at heart. We truly believe in developing Trinidad and Tobago. We truly believe in safeguarding our people. We truly believe in healing our nation. And I want to give you my commitment that we will heal our nation. We will restore. We will rebuild. Ladies and gentlemen, the only way we can do this is by you going out there and giving us your vote. So I ask you all, show me that confidence, show me that belief by making sure you stamp your X by the Balisé. And come September 7th, when the last ballot is counted, we will all sing joyfully together. Great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall always prevail. Thank you, Mount Grace.
PNM country, people in the east, who you voting for? We voting for Ayanna, we voting for Ayanna. People in the east, PNM people, who you voting for? We voting for Ayanna. Hey, a woman of merit.
Let me hear it one more time for your next representative for Tobago East, Mrs. Ayanna Webster-Roy. Give it up for Ayanna. Our next speaker is no stranger to you here in Mount Grace. He is one of your THA representatives for this area in the Tobago House of Assembly. the man who lapped Ashwa Jack in the marathon race of the THA election and claimed the gold medal. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to the microphone, Mr. Sheldon Cunningham.
PNM coming. PNM coming. PNM coming.
Red Army, good night. How are you feeling? But from here, you're looking good. Let me recognize the Honorable Chief Secretary and Deputy Political Leader, Honorable Orville London. Give him a round of applause. Welcome on. Let me also recognize Secretary for Health and Social Services and my co-partner in all this struggle and fight, Assemblywoman Claudia Groome-Duke. Let me also recognize the two ladies who are going to be our next representative for East and West, Ayanna Webster-Roy and Shamfa Kojo. And I see also, let me recognize the campaign managers for East and West. And let me also recognize Councillor Dr. Denise Soyafat Angus, and all you wonderful people of Providence, Mason Hall, Mariah, Codler Hall, Wim, Mary's Hill, who come out here to support us. Good night. I stand here on behalf of you, the people of Providence, Mason Hall, Mariah, and environs, to endorse two beautiful, charming women who is going to be our next representative. And let me tell you something, after listening Ayanna here, we have no doubt, we have no fear, because we know with the vibrant and the energy that she is going down to represent us, we have no doubt in our mind. We have a representative we could truly trust and who we could look up to. And most importantly, two representatives who are going to work alongside us in the Tobago House of Assembly. Ladies, give them a wonderful, wonderful round of applause. And let me just make sure that I get it right, because Shamfa, I want to publicly say thanks to you. As a newcomer, Mount Grace is where I felt at home when I went up in 2013. You all made me feel comfortable. You all made me feel wanted. And I recall as I bring Ayanna and Shamfa to this ground, I consider this blessing grounds. And I know they're going to be blessed, because they need every support to go forth and fight. Because we understand the deviousness what is out there. We understand how the devil will continue to prog and put blockage in our side. But everything we do, we shall prevail. Because we are resilient people. We are strong people. And we're going to fight from now until the end to bring these two seats home. There'll be no holding back. There'll be no holding back. But let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. We have to get up and fight. We cannot sit down and say it is already prepared. We have work to do. And now is the time to put your wheels to the wheel and grind every ounce of it to make sure that these two seats come in. We cannot lay back. And I'm also talking to myself also. We cannot stay back. We have to make it. For those persons who continue to sit in their home undecided, now is the calling. There's a point in time when you say the time is right and it is now. Make your calling sure. Don't let the bell ring on September the 7th and you are left behind. Many of us made the mistake in 2010 and it said, if I didn't know, I would have gone the other way. If I didn't know, I should not have chosen these people, but I give them a chance. And what they did to you, they messed up everything. But we cannot make that same mistake again, because we have seen it with our own two eyes. We have seen and heard and feel the awesome pressure that we have been through. We cannot make that mistake again. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your friends. Bring them out. Make sure come the 7th of September, you head to the polls early. Because we have two representatives who want to ensure that whatever we ask for, we're going to get it. If you look at all the budgetary allocation that was given to all the other ministries, every year they got bigger and bigger. What did the Tobago House of Assembly got? And we continue to receive those promises. We cannot take it anymore. We have to make the decision, enough is enough. Let us get what is due to us. And we're going to stand up and fight with our two candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, my secretary spoke about the aging program. And let me just tell you, we did not even talk. But you know, we had the same thing on paper. And they always tell you, when you work together, you play together, you think alike together. And I think that has been rubbing off on me, Secretary. It's rubbing off. But let me tell you something. There are 275 persons who need caregivers, and we can't give them. The Secretary rightfully said, we asked for $5 million to pay gratuity to those persons and expand the program. Every day someone is calling and asking, I need a caregiver. We try to get 50 more, no funding. $300,000 to run a program like that. That's a caring government. The old people, the senior citizen that labored in the vineyard to pave the road to get us where we are today, and you tell me $300,000 to see about them? This is the time we have to make a bold stand and let them know enough is enough. We are a caring government, and we are going to ensure that come on the 7th, we're going to change it, and our senior citizens will get what is due to them. And I must, as I go back a bit and say to Shamfa, thank you. When I came into this political thing as a new arrival, and each time the constructive criticism I will get from Shamfa made me who I am today. I thank you very much. Old people always tell you, don't wait till I pass on to say thank you. So Shamfa, I'm saying publicly, thank you. Ayanna and I work in the community through the village council. And just as she just spoke here with that passion and drive, I am telling you, she will deliver. That is the passion she goes all the way with. When she starts, she don't give up until it is completed. And I stand to endorse her and said, Ayanna, you have my full support. But guess what? After the 7th of September, we have to work together to fix Tobago. Hold her hand now. And we're going to jump and we're going to wail until we get to those polls. But come after election, she will need your support to keep the fire going and the flame burning. We cannot just send them and leave them. We have to stand with them. We have to go with them. When they say, I need help, jump to their rescue and say, we're going because we are in this together all the way. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also let you know that as of tonight, get on your knees. Bruise your knees if you have to. Allow the Holy Spirit to enter. We have seen what we have saw in 2013. We're not going to allow a repeat of it. Invite the Lord into everything that you are doing. Allow him to walk by your side. Let him anoint our two candidates. Let him anoint them from their head to their toes, because they will need it. And let me tell you something, The Holy Spirit is ready and waiting for the Red Army to go into power. And we cannot afford to sit by the side and allow him to fall. He's going to stand by us in every moment. He's going to walk with us as we go. But great is going to be our victory come the 7th of September. Let us don't play with faith. Let us don't sit by the wayside and feel that it's all good. Invite him to stand with you. Invite him to walk with you. Invite him to allow us through this terrible time. Because brothers and sisters, it is not going to be easy. Do not take nothing for granted. Do not sit and feel that this is going to be us. The fight belongs to the Lord. We are the servant, and together we're going to work together to ensure that whatever he wants of us, we will deliver. So let Ayanna and Shamfa understand that together God going to deliver us. Get on your knees. Pray in the morning. Don't let the sun rise when they talk, but we will rise. We will rise before them. We will stand up before them, and we will fight them in every might, because we are going to ensure that we take back good governance in every form and fashion. We had enough. Enough is enough. And tonight, brothers and sisters, we're taking back our country come September 7th. 2013, they said to me, even the cripple are bring to the pole. But you know what? We provide them with wheelchairs early. So when they feel they can't move, we could move with them. Because faith is victory. And together we're going to bring it together. Ladies and gentlemen, it is high time that we bond together in one accord. It is high time that we move together, because together we shall bring our seed home together. Ladies and gentlemen, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we shall and will prevail. I thank you very much.
Oh, PNM coming. Oh, PNM coming. Oh, PNM coming.
Let's hear it one more time for your own local representative. As I said before, when I was about to introduce the candidate and next MP for Tobago East, the profile is much too long for me to keep you here, particularly with the coverage of the media. Well, I have even a bigger problem now with respect to our next speaker, who is the candidate for Tobago West, but I'll try to be as brief as possible. Shamfa Ashaki Kojo, graduate of Montgomery Government Primary School, graduate of Scarborough Secondary School, as well as Signal Hill Senior Secondary School, graduate of Bethune Cookman College in Florida, USA, with bachelor's degree in international law, graduate of the UE, of the University of the West Indies, Caville campus, with a Master of Science degree with distinction, International Trade Policy, graduate of World Bank Institute, Economic Development, Export Diversification, International Food and Agriculture Trade, and up until recently, Senator in the Lower House of Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to the microphone our next MP for Tobago West, Miss Shamfa Kojo.
People in the world. PNM choose the best. Representative next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for such a warm welcome. Mongrace, how you feeling? PNM people, how you feeling? All right. Allow me to recognize in our presence our political leader of Tobago Affairs, the Honorable Orville Delano London. Your area representative, Mrs. Claudia Groome-Duke. Another area representative for the Mason Hall Mariah area, my dear friend Sheldon Cunningham. My sister and friend in this journey. And your next representative for Tobago East, Mrs. Ayanna Webster-Roy. Brothers and sisters of the Red Brigade, members of the party, residents of the Mongrace area, supporters of the People's National Movement, and those of you out there listening intently in Radio Land, I wish you a pleasant evening. Mongrace, allow me to express my deepest gratitude for your steadfast love and support as we embark on this journey, as we continue to bring back integrity and decency into the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago. Ayanna Webster-Roy and I, we continue to be humbled by the confidence that you have reposed in us. We promise not to disappoint you. And as Ayanna Webster-Roy said earlier, we will make you proud. I stand before you this evening because I stand in agreement with you. Our nation is seeing its worst days and its darkest hours. Rather than wallow in wilderness, or get lost in the downward spiral, or throw in the towel, we stand firm in our commitment to do what is best for our people and to work diligently to save our nation. This has been the legacy of the People's National Movement. From day one to this day, and in years to come, we are committed to developing and utilizing the nation's resources to put this country in the best possible position and improve the standard of living for all the people of this nation. If you follow our history, brothers and sisters, this has been the contribution, the legacy of the People's National Movement, the greatest political institution. The People's National Movement remains the first. The People's National Movement remains the foremost. The People's National Movement remains this nation's foundation, and the People's National Movement is our future. Brothers and sisters, we built the schools, we built the teachers' colleges, we build the training institutions. We provide free education from primary to secondary to tertiary to uplift our children. We built the health centers. We built the community centers. We lighted the hard courts and the recreational grounds. We built the energy industry in this country to bring wealth to our nation and to uplift our economy. We bought Coroni. We bought Angostura. Brothers and sisters, we built Cove here in Tobago. Brothers and sisters, we bought Friendship Estate. We bought Pigeon Point Heritage Park. We bought Pembroke Heritage Park. Brothers and sisters, we gave you housing in Aventura, housing projects in Castara, housing projects in Bleming, and very soon housing projects in Sherburne. Must I go on, brothers and sisters? We brought to this country identification cards. We brought to this country driver's permits. And allow me to bring it closer to home, brothers and sisters. We gave you Buku Integrated Facility. We built you the Great Scarborough Library. The list goes on and on and on. Such is the legacy of the People's National Movement. Brothers and sisters, this year, in this 2015 election, we are called to reaffirm our values and our commitments, to hold them against the hard reality and see how we are measuring up to the legacy of our PNM forefathers and the promises and our promises to the future generation. We in the People's National Movement offer ourselves to you Not because we think that it is our turn or because we think that it is our birthright, but because we are confident that we have what it takes to restore order back to this nation. Whenever this country is in trouble, it calls on the people's national movement. Brothers and sisters, further, we have done our work. A matter of fact, we have done our homework. We have learned from their mistakes and we have learned from our mistakes. And we stand ready, ready to press the reset button, ready to put this country back on track, ready to restore our institutions, ready to reunite our people, ready to revive our democracy, and ready to rebuild our nation. Over the past 5 years, our country's advancement had been severely compromised by the incompetence of this Eat-a-Food UNC administration. Their tenure has been marked by unprecedented levels of wickedness, lack of direction, poor leadership, and corruption. Tonight, I wish not to go through the list of atrocities because you know them very well by now. And we have just launched our manifesto, so there is so much to share and so much to tell. Brothers and sisters, at this critical juncture, we in the People's National Movement stand as the only bastion of hope, the bearer of good news, encouraging you to keep the faith because there's so much more work that we have to do. Brothers and sisters, there's much more work to be done for that young man in Patience Hill who slipped through the cracks of our fundamentally flawed and archaic educational institution. But he still has the drive and the will to make something of himself. The People's National Movement will channel him to the right avenue to develop his skills and talent. Brothers and sisters, there is more to be done for the young waitress in Bethel, who inherited lands from her parents and her grandparents, but cannot find efficient means to obtain the necessary paperwork. Brothers and sisters, there is much work to be done for that old man in Sherburne, who wants to subdivide his lands to his nieces and his nephews, but cannot find help in any of the national institutions. Brothers and sisters, there is much more work to be done for the young, talented athletes of Egypt, who needs access to the necessary resources for training, facilities, and to enhance his sport at an international level, or even at an acceptable standard. Brothers and sisters, there's much work to do for the aspiring entrepreneur of Laketo, who needs funding, facilities, and the mechanisms to expand his idea, to showcase his talent, and to take his products from his kitchen to the grocery shelf. Brothers and sisters, we have much more work to do for the businessman of BlackRock, who simply wants to get his merchandise to Tobago on time, safely, and in a predictable manner. Brothers and sisters, there's much more to do for that dear old lady I met in Plymouth, who slipped and fell and bruised her face, toting water in her efforts to alleviate her water situation. Brothers and sisters, there's much more work to do for the young men and women trying to get off drugs, but need a good rehabilitation facility. Brothers and sisters, there's much more work to do for that lady of Patience Hill who needs a caregiver to take care of an ailing mother. Brothers and sisters, there's much more work to be done for the SRP workers, the Special Reserve Police, who work just as hard as the regular police officers, but cannot afford to pay their bills, cannot access a bank loan, and cannot proudly play the role of a good husband or father in his home. Now, brothers and sisters, don't get me wrong. The people that I meet don't expect the government to solve all their problems. They know they have to work hard to get ahead, and they want to. But Tobagonians will tell you, they don't want their hard-earned tax money wasted on a food card program that doesn't serve its true purpose, but is used for political expediency and to win an election. Brothers and sisters, Tobagonians will tell you that they are tired of paying for an incompetent, ineffective inter-island transportation system where they have to spend nights at the airport, sleeping at the airport while Kamala Prasad-Bisesa and Vanilla fly up and down in helicopter and leaving the car situation undone. Brothers and sisters, Tobagonians don't expect government to solve all their problems, but they have a strong belief deep in their bones that with proper management and sound leadership, fairness and accountability, transparency and a change in priorities, that we can do better. We can do better in Trinidad and Tobago. We can enjoy a better Trinidad and Tobago where citizens can access more opportunities to live a better life. They know that this great country could do better and they want that choice. Brothers and sisters, the people movement is that choice. Brothers and sisters, PNM family, the People's National Movement offers a manifesto filled with plans and policies to take this country out of this low, dry place, to develop our economy, to save our nation's reputation, and to give each citizen a fair chance to a national patrimony. Brothers and sisters, the People's National Movement is that choice. The People's National Movement offers you 41 candidates with a sound track record of service, people of integrity, decency, and truth. And last but not least, brothers and sisters, the People's National Movement offers you Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, a man of vision, a man of wisdom, and a man of integrity. He is the best offer for this country at this time. Dr. Rowley understands the ideals of nation building, preservation, perseverance, wisdom, faith, service, and truth, because they defined who he is. From his diligent service in Diego Martin West to 5 years as leader of opposition, Dr. Rowley has devoted himself to this country. And again, we have seen him make the tough decisions when easier ones were available. His values and his record affirm what is best in us. Tobagonians, the People's National Movement believes, we believe in Tobago. We believe in a Trinidad and Tobago where hard work is rewarded. We believe in a Trinidad and Tobago where everyone can work hard to get what they need. Brothers and sisters, we believe in a Trinidad and Tobago of equal rights, justice, freedoms, and integrity. Brothers and sisters, we in the People's National Movement believe in self-determination, and we will grant internal self-government to the people of Tobago. We in the People's National Movement believe in investing in our young people and giving them the necessary opportunities so that they can grow in their education and help to revive and restore this economy. Brothers and sisters, if this People's National Movement, if Trinidad and Tobago ever needed a People's National Movement, that time is now. Brothers and sisters, if constituencies ever needed dedicated and responsible representatives, that time is now. Brothers and sisters, if Tobago East ever needed an Ayanna Webster-Roy, that time is now. Brothers and sisters, if Tobago West ever needed a Shampa Ashaki Kojo, that time is now. If this country ever needed a Keith Christopher Rowley, that time is now. Now, brothers and sisters, even as we speak, there are those who are preparing to divide us, preparing to destroy us. They will do anything and everything to see us broken down at this time. They said they have a plan for Trinidad and Tobago. Let them know that we have a plan for them too. Brothers and sisters, because we have suffered for far too long. We sucked salt for far too long. We complained for far too long, brothers and sisters. Our time is now, and we will chastise them for their misdeeds. Brothers and sisters, we have endured 62 months in this low, dry place. Better days are coming, brothers and sisters, because if we have lasted 62 months, you better believe me, we could endure 16 more days. As my friend Miss Percy in Bonaccord said, they knocked us down, but they didn't knock us out, brothers and sisters, so we stand ready, willing, and waiting. So I call on you to keep the fire burning. I call on you to keep hope alive. We are taking back our country, one vote at a time. We are taking back our constituency, one vote at a time. Vote the People's National Movement for decency. Vote the People's National Movement for integrity. Vote the People's National Movement for democracy. Vote the People's National Movement to save our country. Brothers and sisters of the Red Army, I call on you to get in your position. Show them no mercy and show them no remorse. Come out on the 7th of September and attack them with full force. And on the 9th of the 7th of September, when all is said and done, we have done our work and victory is won. We would sing to the top of our voices from the depth of our lungs. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail. I thank you.
People in the West, are you ready? Oh yeah, Shampa, Shampa Kojo, Shampa, PNM people. So you must put your eggs. We go vote in the West. PNM choose the best. Representative next. This woman ain't easy. This woman could turn.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard our two representatives, Ayanna Webster-Roy in the east and Shampa Kojo in the west. If you truly endorse these two candidates, make a loud noise and demonstrate your endorsement, giving us the assurance on September 7th, you will be putting your axe next to the Balizé. Let's hear it for our two candidates. Our featured speaker of the evening, like our two candidates, has a very lengthy profile, but I will do my best to abbreviate it. Deputy Political Leader of the People's National Movement, Tobago Affairs, Political Leader, Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to the microphone the Honorable Orville Delano London.
You see me? I'm fed up of what's going on in this country. Yes? The people fed up. Kamala, right now we fed up. We have serious issues facing TNT. But you in the parliament only talking about key public. Policemen protesting, fire service too. I'm not in this there to see that the people fed up by you. The whole country fed up, everybody fed up. Whole country fed up, everybody fed up.
Good night, Mongoose. Good night, PNM family. And good night, of course, to our listening audience. Let me take the opportunity to recognize a woman of stature, class, and courage, one of my co-representatives for this area, Assemblyman Claudia Groome-Duke. I'd like to recognize a young man who continues to impress with his sincerity, his devotion to service, his faith in his God, and his confidence in his people, Assemblyman Sheldon Cunningham. I'd like to recognize the Public Relations Officer, Dr. Denise Angus. I've just seen the Secretary of Finance, Mr. Joel Jack, all other secretaries and assistant secretaries in the audience. I'd like to recognize my wife, Mrs. Bridget London, and all the women of the People's National Movement. And I want to, of course, give special recognition
to the two women of the People's National Movement who have been in the spotlight for the last 3 months, and every day they grow in stature, and our confidence in them grows, and we know that come September the 8th, that this island and this country will be the better off because they will become our representatives for Tobago East and Tobago West, Ms. Shamfa Kojo and Ms. Ayanna Webster-Roy. Brothers and sisters, an election is a very dynamic thing. And therefore, as the election develops, you've got to be able to adjust your campaign. You've got to be able to respond to new developments. You've got to be able to treat with the issues as they are brought up by your contestants or by the contestants or by your rivals. Because bear in mind, that is what an election is. It is a contest. And therefore, while we will look at our candidates and look at our program, and of course, have confidence that with those candidates and that program, that we should be able to persuade the electorate. We also must take the opportunity to look at what is happening to our rivals. And this is in that context, I want to share with you something that I saw on Channel 5 just before I left home this evening. Channel 5 first showed a clip from Kristen Moore, the forwards, or the TOP forwards, whatever you care to call her, leader, where she was stating categorically that she was not part of the partnership. Now listen. And then immediately after, I don't know if they did that deliberately, they brought Ashford Jack, the leader of the Tobago Organization of the People, speaking from a meeting in Lansing. Unfortunately for him, the crowd did not reach double figures. But that to me was not the important thing. The important thing was what he said. And he was angry. And he described Kristen Moore and the TOP forwards as ungrateful people who have mashed up everything that they're in, that they mash up the NAR, that they try to mash up the TOP. But the most important thing that he said, and that is important to all of us as PNM people, but also important to us as Tobagonians. Because remember, this is coming out of the mouth of Ashford Jack, not Orville, London. Ashford Jack said that they're deceitful. Because they're saying that they're not supporting PP. But when PP will never join. Orville, London didn't say that. Ashford Jack said that. So here you have Ashford Jack and the TOP. And one of the things you can say, you must say in his defense, Ashford Jack does not pretend. He is a Kamala minion and he does not pretend. And he will remain a Kamala minion. So he comes to us and give him that. He comes to us in all honesty. I am a Kamala minion, take me out. But then you have Kristen Moore. But what Kristen Moore didn't realize that when Ashford vexed, he does talk everything. And Ashford talk out the story. Now, how she defended that, I don't know. But I'm saying to us that this, in effect, demonstrates that what we have been saying throughout the campaign is true. That whether they are TOP forwards Tobago, or what, all of them is UNC. And therefore, it makes the discussion much simpler for us. This discussion is a discussion between the PNM or about the PNM and the UNC. And I want us to understand that. Because I was very happy when I saw that in the clip, because it indicated to me that this was in fact a confession. So after all the old talk, after all the mama guy, we finally have got from the mouths of the people who are involved, the people who should know. Because a little birdie told me that there was some negotiation, but it didn't go right and so on. Whether that is sure not I swear to come on the people television and say that they don't, not part of PP, but the PP when they go join. So in a real sense, this is about the PNM that has indicated to you these are our candidates, Ayanna, Webster-Roy, and Champa Kutu. Our political leader is Keith Christopher Roy. Our party will always remain the People's National Union. And you compare that to a situation where, as we speak, any other political party put in power is a political party that is going to support Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the UNC and all they stand for. And I'm saying to us, brothers and sisters in Mount Grace this evening, and Champa is right, we don't have to go into the atrocities inflicted on this country by the United National Congress. Anybody who is not convinced that the Kamla Persad-Bissessar regime was the most corrupt, the most vindictive, the most discriminatory in the history of this country, they will not be convinced again. I am saying to us, therefore, brothers and sisters, that we want to take this discussion to the next level. We believe that there are three types of people out there. Those who are already convinced and will do the right thing on September the 7th. Those who have had or they have some personal benefit to get, and therefore, regardless of whether they're convinced or not, they are going to go and do the wrong thing. And then there's a middle group of people who still vacillating, who still believe that they can either not vote or go on to the other side. And I am asking those people to consider what this election is all about. Because the election is not about election day. The election is about the next 5 years. And that is why I want to tell the people of Tobago that this election is about securing our future, but also having a future that is predictable. And one of the things that I have learned during my time in politics is that different things affect different people in different ways. And therefore, that is why when I read the PNM manifesto, and it's a PNM manifesto where the process was very participatory, and all of us were able to take part in this exercise at different stages and contribute to the exercise at different stages, so that we own the manifesto. It is our manifesto. It belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And there's a Tobago section that is a section that was placed there by the people of Tobago with absolutely, and I repeat, absolutely no interference and no change at the central government. And I want you therefore to be able to tell yourself, when I go and vote for the PNM, what am I voting for? And I want to suggest that every sector, and in fact every individual, is going to be influenced positively if you vote PNM, or if the PNM becomes the government of Trinidad and Tobago. I want us to understand, brothers and sisters, that we are living in a situation where there is absolutely no hope under the present regime. A situation where many of us must accept the fact that if, God forbid, these people remain in power, not only is the country doomed, but all of us are doomed. And that is why the PNM took the time not to deal with rhetoric and old talk and back talk, but the PNM took the time to come up with a document that spoke to the sectors, that spoke to the groups, that spoke to the people. And I'm saying, therefore, decide into which category you want to place yourself. If you are a senior citizen, there's something in the manifesto for you. Because as a senior citizen, there's going to be a review of pensions and NIS. But in addition to that, what they're going to do, because the philosophy behind it is that it's not just the money you get, it's the money that you don't have to spend. So that you will find that within the first year, there are going to be concessions made to pensioners, where there will be various things like your license, renewal of license, and various taxes and so on from which you are going to be exempt. So whether the actual pension or whatever increases, the disposable income available to you as a pensioner will be greater because you don't have to spend money on various issues. And in addition to that, you're going to have a situation where there's going to be tax relief simply because of the fact that you are in fact a pensioner. If you're a young person, the manifesto has a number of incentives for young persons, and as we go along, we will treat with them. I just want to draw your attention. Many of the young persons who come out of university, come out of them from high school, cannot find jobs. And in the Tobago context, the Tobago House of Assembly has to take the responsibility for the bulk of the employment in Tobago. What the manifesto is saying and what will be in fact introduced within the first year is a review of the whole system of OJTs. And it's going to be done at two levels. At level one, you're going to find a situation where the private sector is going to be given incentives to take on OJTs. So that the whole OJT system, nowadays you have an OJT system, but the OJT system still depends on the assembly and the government to survive. You have to have an OJT system where the private sector is involved. And therefore you have to do it from the perspective of the private sector. You give them incentives to participate. And then in the case of the OJTs, you raise their stipend so that you will have more people, more young people encouraged to get into this particular process. If you're a taxpayer in the bracket over $5,000, there's a benefit for you. Because within the first year, your annual personal allowance will increase from $60,000 to $72,000. So it means, therefore, that you don't pay taxes on your first $6,000 per month. Now, that is not a bribe, because see, these things are well thought out. Because the thinking behind it is very simple. That if you give an individual more disposable income, more money in his pocket, that individual will spend the money and that will stimulate the economy. That is the thinking behind it. But there's also another aspect to it. This is based on the confidence of the People's National Movement in the people. So instead of taking all the taxes and having a situation where you have the money in the coffers of the central government, so that those who are there in the central government could have more money to thief. You leave the money in the hands of the people so that the people can spend it for the benefit of the people. That is the thinking behind it. Another aspect of the manifesto that is linked to that is to drop value-added tax from 15% to 12.5%. Immediately, there is going to be a drop in the cost of living. Because value-added tax is added on to the price you pay. No businessman is going to absorb value-added tax. So when you go to the grocery, you pay the cost, you pay the profit, you pay the VAT. So once the VAT drops, it means that the cost of goods, and that is going to be monitored to ensure that that cost is passed on to the people. In addition to that, you're going to have a situation where, again, people with more disposable income are going to deal with the situation and have a situation where they can spend more money and generate more in the economy. If you're a farmer or fisherman, chemicals, all material for pest control, vehicles, fishing vessels, and equipment will be duty-free, duty and tax-free. So it means, therefore, that again, these are further incentives. And linked to that, with respect to the people in agriculture, if you have idle land and you don't have the capital to invest in agriculture, there are going to be systems in place to assist you in getting the capital necessary to start. So it means that you have a situation where you will be able, regardless of your economic or financial situation, to get seriously involved in agriculture. But in addition to that, in the Tobago context, many of us who have land or feel we have land, but do not have a title to that land, we're going to have a situation where that land is going to be freed up. And the freeing up of that land, brothers and sisters, tells us about the character of these people and tells us about their vindictiveness and the way in which they allow political spite to prevent them from even serving the people that they were elected to serve. In 2010, I am certain that there are many of you here who are your grandparents or your great-grandparents' land. You can't mortgage it. You can't do anything on it. You can't even build a house on it because the land title is not clear. In 2010, the PNM had 3 pieces of legislation, which if they were brought before the parliament, would have brought an end to this travesty for us in Tobago. This heartless, callous government came in 2010, knew what that was going to do for the people of Tobago, knew the relief that it was going to bring. But because they felt that if they did that, PNM would look good. And remember in the first year, all they wanted to do was to portray PNM as this vicious, heartless government. They scrapped the bills. Mama got for 5 years. And I'm glad that Dr. Keith Rowley, when he came to Tobago, said that one of the first acts of the new PNM cabinet will be to take these bills from wheresoever they hid them, take them to Parliament, get them passed, get them enacted so that we can bring relief to the hundreds of Tobago. That is what we're talking about, brothers and sisters. I want to tell those of you who are interested in sport, athletes, you might be an athlete or you have young people who are athletes. Let me give you an idea of how this government has operated. The Dwight York Stadium, which is still under the Ministry of Sport. The Dwight York Stadium, therefore, the responsibility for treating with the repairs and the maintenance, that responsibility belongs to the Ministry of Sport. And instead of Delmon Baker and Vanilla Allen Topping and Kristen Moore, because she was in cabinet too, treating with how do you ensure that Tobagonians derive optimum benefit from this facility. You know what happened? There were 2 things wrong with the facility. The track had to be fixed, and then the building, the actual pavilions had to be fixed. They pussyfoot and vacillate. We said, okay, the Tobago House of Assembly with its limited funds will fix the track. And we spent $12 million to give Tobago the best athletic track in the country and maybe in the region. And for the last 3 years, the central government did nothing. So one of the things that we are going to demand, one part of the mandate that we're going to give Shamfa and Ayanna, and one of the first things that we are going to demand from the Keith Rowley-led PNM government is that money is provided to fix the stadium. And when they fix it, they hand it over to the Tobago House of Assembly. I don't want it before they fix it. And you see, it is those little, and this is going to call, it's not a waste of the money, no. But it is the will. It is that same will that is needed to fix our transportation system. What you need to fix the transportation system in Tobago is about 20 buses. And I want you to understand, brothers and sisters, the far-reaching effects of that. Because you see, it's not just about transporting us in Tobago. Obviously, we want that and we want predictability. Imagine how your cost of living would decrease if we had a reliable bus supply, a bus service, that you could send your children to school by the bus knowing it's going to get here at 7:30 to get them to school, that you could go to work by the bus. Imagine the difference that it will make to your life.
Imagine the difference that it will make to our traffic system if we have an efficient bus system so that those who have cars could leave them at home and those who don't have cars don't feel that they have to buy. That is the kind of thing we're talking about. But it has far-reaching effects for us in Tobago. I just read a correspondence from a company which is expressing concern about the cruise ships coming to Tobago. Because Tobago has become so attractive that we have doubled the number of cruise ship visitors coming to Tobago over the last 2 years. And the prospects, it has reached the point now where we have to decide whether we want to have more next year and in years coming. But that situation can in fact turn around and embarrass us, because they bring in larger and larger cruise ships. Cruise ships used to be 1,500, now they bring in 2,500. But we bring 2,500 people, we drop them on the port, and we have nothing to transport them. We are trying to purchase some buses from Brazil. But you can only purchase buses if you have the money. And when you purchase the buses, you have to now determine whether you're going to give those buses to a PTSC that doesn't care about you. Those are the kinds of issues with which we have to treat. And those are the kind of issues that we'll be able to treat with. Not only if we have money, because this is not just about money. This is about respect and consultation. I'm saying, therefore, that what we are going to have, because money is going to be tight, but we're going to have a collaborative approach to development. And with a collaborative approach, we will be able to determine the priorities and how we treat with the priorities. So what we are voting for is a different kind of relationship between the Tobago House of Assembly and the central government. Because I'm saying to us as Tobagonians that regardless of the political permutation, regardless of who is in charge, which political party is in charge in the Tobago House of Assembly, and which political party is in charge in the central government, the political parties have a responsibility to make the interests of the people of Tobago a priority. What has been demonstrated over the past 5 years, brothers and sisters, is that the UNC, the TOP forward do not care about the people of Tobago. Their priority is not the development of Tobago and the welfare of its people. And therefore, we need to ensure that we put in power a government in Tobago that is as concerned about the welfare of the people of Tobago as the government in Trinidad and Tobago that is as concerned about the people of Tobago as the THA in Tobago. Once you have that kind of synergy, we are going to have the kind of development that we need. And that is what the election is all about. I'm saying to us, brothers and sisters, that those of us who have challenges with housing will have some relief at various levels. Because what we are going to have is a situation where instead of having $23 million with instructions to build all the houses that you want in Tobago, you could build 30. You have 60,000 people in Tobago, you have 7,000 applications. They give you money to build 30 houses. But not only that, they tie your hand. We big men and women. If you don't have the money, let's understand that. But they say they don't have the money to give you. And while they're getting billions of dollars in Trinidad, in loans, in grants, in public-private partnership arrangement, they are frustrating the Tobago House of Assembly. So that they can boast and say they're giving out 100 houses a week in Trinidad and only are giving out none in Tobago. That will change, because we will not be able to sit down with our PNM colleagues in a PNM cabinet and a PNM parliament and be able to discuss what is best. Be able to discuss how do we share in the grants and the loans. Be able to discuss the authority to get involved in public-private partnerships. We also is that there are people who, when you look at the home repair program that we have, yes, there's a limit. But sometimes the limit is what, $15,000, $20,000. And you have a situation where somebody is poor, indigent, and they just don't have the money. And you give them $15,000 knowing that they are still going to live. that has to be addressed, but that can only be addressed if you have the flexibility. And as I talk about the poor and the indigent, one of the areas about this manifesto about which I was confident is when special attention was given and special mention made, and a proposal will come forward to how do you treat with housing for the poor and the indigent. Because in a real sense, the housing that we can do in the Tobago House of Assembly is housing for the middle class. When we build houses in Tobago, we cannot give the kind of concessions that will allow the people in the lower classes to accept these houses, because we sell them. And the challenge comes when you go to TTMF. Because when you go to TTMF, TTMF doesn't deal with need. TTMF deals with ability to pay. So that there are a number of people over the years who, when we have our draw, they have in fact, their names have been pulled. And it's one of the most tragic things that you can see. Somebody get, like you win lottery. And when you go they say, well, sorry, you ain't qualified to get him on. That's what happens to a number of people. The draw is held, names are called, they go to TTMF, TTMF say, what's your salary? What's your salary, wife? What are your debts? That'll pay $3,000 a month. When we add up, you only could come up to $1,500. That's it. We have to deal with those people. And it is those kind of issues with which we're going to treat with our caring government. Because with the UNC, their main objective was not to provide housing for people, was to provide opportunities for their colleagues and their cronies to get multi-million-dollar contracts so that they could get their cut. That was the objective. We got to change the dynamics. We got to change the way in which government operates, that you have a government whose major concern is a concern for the people. And that is why, brothers and sisters, that I'm so comfortable for us to send down to Trinidad people like Champa Kojo and Ayanna Webster-Roy. Because I tell you something about real Tobagonians. Real Tobagonians are shame quick. And we sending down 2 young ladies with shame. Who could shame? Because they know that PNM eyes on them, that Tobago eyes on them, and therefore they cannot do the kind of things that Vanilla Allen Toppin and Delmon Baker did because of the shame. And we have to understand, as simplistic as that sounds, the reality of that these young ladies have maintained their Tobago-ness. And we charge them this evening that they have to maintain their Tobago-ness. We charge them this evening that we are going to be monitoring them, that we are going to be guiding them, that we are going to be, if necessary, admonishing them. Because we want them to be able to come back to this spot 5 years from now and say, you have given us your vote, you have given it your trust, and we have served you well, and we would like to be returned. It is not surprising that neither of the 2 representatives could come back and face the public of Tobago. And I'm saying to Ayanna, and I'm saying to Shamfa, one of the things that you must ensure you do is to make sure that by your service, just as how I could come back to this place on 5 separate occasions and say, give me a next chance, that you could say, I have still well, give me a next chance. Children are talking to you too. Brothers and sisters, this is a very serious election. And we're moving into a very serious phase. And in those circumstances, there are issues with which we have to treat. And as I said, we're talking about an 80-page manifesto. And there are some things that we will speak about. I want to speak about 2 things before I close off. I read something in the paper today, one of the dailies, that caused me some concern. and strengthens my resolve to ensure that not only that we respect the PNM manifesto, but ensure that that manifesto is delivered. New Antigua Airport Terminal completed, handed over. Antigua opens its new US $100 million terminal at the VC Bird International Airport on Thursday. And the Prime Minister said, this modern structure gives us the potential to make Antigua and Barbuda a trade hub and boost visitor arrivals from the region and as well as from premier international tourist markets. Antigua is one of our major competitors in the region for the tourism market. In fact, at one point in time, we shared a flight coming out of London with Antigua. And I'm saying, therefore, that when somebody comes, first impression comes a lot. And if you have a choice and the first impression of Antigua is $100 million US airport, and your first impression in Tobago is the Ayanna Robinson Airport, you have to ask yourself if you have a choice in coming back or telling people where to come to, which one of them you're going to select. So I am very happy that we have agreement, and it is in the manifesto, with the PNM government, that when it gets into power, another of its priorities will not be the refurbishing of the airport, but a brand new international class airport in the world. Because that's the only way we can compete. It's the only way we can compete. Barbados, go to Barbados, you see the airport. Smaller islands than Trinidad, than Tobago. Islands where the per capita income is less, where the amount of money available to the country is less than Trinidad and Tobago has, and they're able to place the priority. Because I want to tell the people of Tobago, do not underrate the potential of tourism. As the energy resources dwindle, you will find that one of the major sectors for generating foreign currency, one of the major sectors will be tourism. In the dark days, I don't know if you remember, when oil was $8 a barrel, they used to have to come to Tobago, get money from the bank, and go down to Trinidad in order to meet the foreign obligation, because the bulk of the foreign exchange coming into this country was coming into tourism. So that do not underrate the importance of tourism in a situation where the energy sector has become so unpredictable and volatile. It is in that context that I want us to understand that the PNM manifesto and the PNM policy with respect to Tobago is not just about looking good. It's not just about bribing people. It is about participating in the process of development through collaboration and mutual respect. That is what we have not had. I am not saying, brothers and sisters, that they're not going to be challenges. Do not for one moment think that from the 8th of September, the problems will be resolved. It is 5 years of bad governance and corruption that we're trying to eradicate, and it's going to take some time. But if you have a government that you respect, if you have a prime minister that you trust, if you have representatives whom you're confident will place your interests in front of theirs, you will be able to treat with the challenging times. And if you have to make sacrifices, you will make them, knowing that you're making sacrifices not to fill somebody's pockets, but you're making sacrifices to improve your status and your way of life. That is the reality. And I want to say, brothers and sisters, that I am happy with the signals that I am getting from Dr. Rowley with respect to what is going to happen in the first couple months. You know, I want you to go back to 2010 and think about how the mindset of these people when they came into power. You know what the mindset was? Punishment. Jail people. Do everything possible to punish. They punished everybody, including the people who are working under the PNM. The first thing that they did was to fire thousands of workers. Their only crime, whether they're working under PNM regime and they had contracts under PNM regime. And you know what is one of the most comforting things that I have heard from our Prime Minister to be? PNM not in the cancelling business. Political spite and dotishness will not form part of the PNM's credo. And I'm saying to us, we should be proud that our leader at a time like this can say something like that. And it is in that context, because we in the Tobago House of Assembly are like that. We don't only talk the talking. We don't allow political spite and dotishness to determine what we do or do not do. I see the public every other Friday. I see hundreds of people over the period of a year. And I defy any one of them to say that I ever even inquired what is the political coloration. So then when they come in to try to impress me, they open the post careless and talk about see the PNM card and say close it back. Close it back. Because when I put on my suit, I am the chief secretary of all of Tobago. When I put on my red jersey, that's a different matter. But when I put on my, and I'm saying that I am happy that we have a prime minister, or we're going to have a prime minister, whose philosophy is going to be, when I become prime minister, I am going to become prime minister of all of Tobago. And that political spite and dotishness will not form part of the PNM's credo. It is in that context that I want to address those workers in the Ministry of Tobago Development. When a government changes hands, the responsibility of the government does not change. In other words, if you have a valid contract with the central government, regardless of who is in power, any self-respecting central government will honor that. And one of the things that we know on September the 8th, after 5 years and more, Trinidad and Tobago will have a responsible, self-respecting central government. So there's nothing to fear from us. There's nothing to fear from a PNM. Every single one of these people in the Ministry of Tobago is a Tobagonian. We have a responsibility to take care of their welfare. So they might even be wearing red jersey. Nothing wrong with that. There is no reason, because they saw an opportunity. They took the opportunity. They're not getting paid now. But I'm saying that once we are back in power, we are going to review that situation and ensure that these people are treated fairly. Because they are Tobagonians, they are children of God, and they deserve to be treated fairly. That is how we're going to operate. It's not going to be about spite and dotishness. So I want to give them that assurance. Don't let nobody frighten you. Be aware that you are going to have a caring government in the assembly and a caring government at central government level, and we will take care of the needs of the government. Brothers and sisters, as we get closer to September the 7th, I want us to start adjusting our mindset, recognizing that we have to prepare ourselves for revival. And revival time is always a challenging time, but it's an exciting time. And the thing about this revival is that we're going to do the revival together. We're going to do the revival in an environment where the Tobago House of Assembly and the central government will finally be working hand in hand as they're supposed to be doing. We're going to be having this revival at a time when people, whether they are under pressure or not, will know that they have a government that is working for them. We're going to have this revival time in a period where you know that you have a leader whose life would have prepared him for this time and for this challenge. And that he, and Champa is right, If ever Trinidad and Tobago needed Keith Rowley, that time is now. Because he has been nurtured, he has been trained, he has been honed for this. And this is his time to come out and save Trinidad and Tobago. Our journey continues and we'll continue to spread the message. I urge us, brothers and sisters, that each of you here must understand his or her responsibility to carry the message. I urge you to recognize how serious this is. And therefore, I urge you to target some undecided. You know them. Let them recognize that this is not just about love of PNM. I know they love all the PNM. This goes further than that. This is about love of island and country. But most of all, it is about love of self. And I'm saying what the PNM has put forward for us is something from which every sector, every group, every individual has an opportunity to benefit. And one of the things that we know is that when I stand on this platform, when Shampa stands on this platform, when Ayanna stands on this platform, when Mrs. Groome-Duke and Sheldon stand on this platform, what we promise we can deliver and we will deliver, because we will be promising on the basis of a fact. And that fact is that on September the 7th, the PNM will finally be declared the winners and the government of Trinidad and Tobago will be winning. So brothers and sisters, the journey continues. I urge you to make sure that you do what is necessary to give the PNM the overwhelming victory that it deserves, to give this country hope, to bring back respect, to bring back pride, and to ensure that the next 5 years will be 5 years spent in the loving and caring arms of the People's National Movement. And when you do that, then you'll be able to say, with a mixture of relief and pride, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it shall prevail. I thank you, have a good night, and may God bless Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago.
You see me? I'm fed up of what's going on in this country, yes? The people fed up. Kamala, right now we fed up.
We have serious issues facing TNT.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for the Honorable Orville, London. And at this time, I would like to invite the two candidates to the front of the platform so that you could endorse their candidacy with a loud round of applause. Ayanna Webster-Roy, please come forward. Shantaka, please come forward. Now let's hear it for our two candidates.
Ayanna, PNM Shampa. Ayanna, PNM Shampa. Ayanna, PNM Shampa. Ayanna, PNM Shampa.
Thank you, ladies. You may take your seat. We are closing down our exercises as we move towards September the 7th. For you here at Mongress, I would like to inform and even remind you that we will be at Calder Hall and Mason Hall on the 3rd of September. On the 4th of September would be Red Friday. We are hoping to be uptown at the PNM head office and journey down I'll come back up. All right. I have been chastised a little bit, but I'm not crying as yet. Today is Saturday the 22nd. So from Monday the 24th, we are at Signal Hill at 7:30 p.m. That's a council meeting, a meeting similar to this one. The early meeting at 6 p.m. would be at Susulan. On Tuesday the 25th, we are at Belgarden at 7:30 p.m. We will be at Argyle at 6 p.m. On the 26th, we will be at Wim at 6 p.m. and at Buku at 7:30 p.m. On the 27th, we will be at Palatuver at 6 p.m. and Castara at 7:30 p.m. On Friday, the Women's Forum at the Library Amphitheater in Scarborough, 5 p.m. On the 30th, we will be at Glamorgan at 6 p.m. and Delaford at 7 p.m. All right, come back to my original list. Red Friday on the 4th, Friday the 4th of September, where we are hoping to gather uptown at our head office and journey downtown painting Scarborough red. And our final demonstration of the Red Brigade would be on Sunday, the 6th September, when we go on our island motorcade. We are hoping to be at Market Square for 9 a.m. We go around the island and then we gather for the last address by the Honorable Chief Secretary, and then we go home and sleep, get up early, and put our X against the Balizé, Ayanna in the east, and Shamfa in the west. Let me thank you for your attention, for your coming out, and even for those at home who are hearing our voices. I would also like to thank the Protective Service for gracing us with their presence. A pleasant good night to all.
You see me? I'm fed up of what's going on in this country, yes? The people fed up. Kamala, right now we fed up.